Will the Committee on Budget please come to order? It is 1:03 p.m. and I would like to welcome to the committee. We have Council Vice Chair Kia Aina, followed by Councilmember Tolba, and Councilmember Say and Weyer will be, and Committee Vice Chair Weyer will be on their way. We don't have any members participating remotely by video conference, but pursuant to Section 92-3.7, the Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive technology, with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda through two ways: remotely and in person in the council chamber. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed when the agenda item is taken up. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference will be called upon first. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. I will then give persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Please utilize the raise hand feature on Zoom to be called upon. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. I will then identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Some friendly reminders and tips. Please video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. Once all the remote testifiers have testified, I will proceed to in-person testimony in the council chamber. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings to be conducted by roll call, unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. For those council members participating from outside of the council chamber, in accordance with HRS Section 92-3.7, the meeting will automatically recess if we lose audiovisual contact with you and cannot reconvene until we reestablish contact. Therefore, please announce beforehand if you will be voluntarily signing out of the meeting. For written testimony, they will be including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number. And it will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones. Members, please note that agenda's items number 7 and 8, which are Bill 47, 2026 CD1 and Bill 48, 2024 CD1, on page 13 have been canceled and will not be considered. So if you're here for Bill 47 and 48, please note they are canceled. Next, we will start our agenda. Our first action item is Resolution 24-257, which confirms the reappointment of Rex Akutagawa to serve on the Rate Commission of the City and County of Honolulu for a term to expire on June 30, 2029. With us, we have the appointee. Is Rex here?
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Akutagawa. Thank you very much for being here. We would love to hear your intention to be reappointed to the Rate Commission.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I am deeply honored to accept this reappointment and humbled by the trust you have placed in me. And I want to express my sincere gratitude to all the persons who were involved in the reappointment process, and that my passion for the transportation sector and the Rate Commission is and has always been driven to me, and I'm excited to provide my skills and knowledge to this important work. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Akutagawa? Thank you very much. My question is, how has your terms been with the Rate Commission so far?
So I was selected by Chair of the Rate Commission, Jay Khalili, for, I would say, 6 months ago, due to another commissioner leaving the term early. So far, I've only been a commissioner for approximately six or 8 months. So, thank you.
Thank you. And members, are there any other questions? Well, my next question is, do you have any goals for serving on the Rate Commission? I know that you have transportation interests. How would you incorporate that?
So as part of an employee of the State of Hawaii Department of Transportation Harbors, I would incorporate a lot of the knowledge in the transportation sector into the Rate Commission work as far as being equitable and providing my knowledge to what type of rates might be most beneficial to the state of Hawaii and the community in itself.
Thank you. And this has been an issue, not necessarily currently, but in the past years prior to this year, where attendance on boards and commissions have been an issue. And are you willing to commit, as you did in the past 6 months, to being able to make the Rate Commission meetings?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much, and we're very appreciative of that and very appreciative of your willingness to serve. Members, any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now move on to remote testifiers. Is there any? One? None? Okay. There's no remote testifiers. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Akutagawa. The chair recommends that Resolution 24-257 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Congratulations, Mr. Akutagawa. We'll see you at the council meeting. Okay. Moving forward, agenda item number 2, we have Resolution 24-254, which authorizes a transfer not to exceed $118,000 in general fund monies from the patrol activity, current expenses character of expenditure, to the patrol activity, equipment character of expenditure, to cover equipment procurements for fiscal year 2025 to support community policing team projects. With us from the city administration, we have Major Paul Okamoto.
Good afternoon, Chair, Council members. Thank you very much for your time. I'm here. My name is Paul Okamoto. I'm the Major of the District 1 Patrol Division. That's Central Honolulu, including downtown Chinatown and most of the Honolulu urban core. I'm here on behalf of the Honolulu Police Department and Chief Arthur Joe Logan to ask for consideration to the recategorization of funds that you so generously provided to us last year in order to further the goals and aims of our community policing teams. Out of the $400,000 that was granted to our department, I'm asking for $118,000 to be recategorized so that we can use those funds to purchase equipment. As you may or may not know, the current categorization allows us to purchase up to $5,000 per unit, per item, and this inhibits our purchase of more expensive items such as speed trailers and utility terrain vehicles that we'd like to purchase. I really do want to thank the council for these monies. They have really been put to good use. In District 1 recently, we've had our 15th annual Nona Kupuna event in Kola Ballroom, which was attended by I think about 100 people, Kupuna. I got together with some of our patrol commanders, and we sort of wanted to see what we could use the monies for. And we came up with speed trailers and UTVs. We do have a project in Chinatown that's upcoming that I'd really like to use the money to purchase the ATVs for. I think it's important that our officers be more engaging and more open to the public. I think we have our Chinatown task force currently that patrols on foot. However, I think it's frustrating for the public to have police officers drive by with their windows up. When we have sort of a problem on the street, whether that be a homeless individual that might be having a mild outburst or incident. And so I think the use of these ATVs, which are open air, and the officers will drive around Chinatown, I think that'll be a great use to the community. So I'm asking that the $118,000 out of $400,000 be reallocated to Category C equipment for that purpose. I brought my colleagues with me today, so if you have any specific questions about what each district will be using their monies for, they'll be more than willing to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for working with the different council members and districts to figure out, HPD patrol districts to figure out what each CPT, community policing team, would need. As for the transfer of funds, of course, we have that set amount of funds that we put into the budget. I was wondering if it's necessary to maybe split that or put a portion of that into an equipment category or character of expenditure when we do our next budgeting.
That might be something that we could discuss, yes, because I believe it really does inhibit our ability to use the monies, specifically because there's a $5,000 cap. And it offers our CPT teams a tremendous amount of flexibility when we can purchase things that are much, much higher in price.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't want any of the language to prohibit the intention of the funds that we want to support you all with. And with the actual purchasing of those equipment, such as ATV or speed trailers, if it's dedicated to that specific district, are they going to be transferable between between districts? Because I know sometimes they're shared, right?
Yes, sometimes we do, but not necessarily. I mean, these are individual projects that each patrol commander has come up with, okay, and has identified as a need in their specific district.
Okay, and when we do move forward and look at how we cannot restrict the funds for community policing further, hopefully during the budget process we'll be able to work that out. So it's clear from us, clear to the department, how we want to support the community policing teams. So
thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions on this transfer and supporting community policing teams by transferring it to equipment? Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
Not a question on the transfer. I fully support it. In previous hearings, you guys mentioned you were going to send over a resolution. So greatly appreciated to provide the greatest flexibility. Our district for community policing team works very closely with my office as well as the community. And we want to provide them the greatest flexibility to get equipment or whatever is necessary for their outreach in the community. The only thing I also want to put a plug in is I hope that we could bring up the manpower for all of our policing teams to pre-COVID-19 levels. And that's just my mana'o. It's something I always bring up in the budget hearings, and I'll likely bring it up again. But given the opportunity today, because this is really important for the CPT teams, just wanted to put in a plug that we value them. They're very important to our communities, and we want to support them in whatever way we can. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Members, any other questions as it relates to the transfer of funds for community policing teams? Thank you very much. Thank you, Major.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now we will now move on to remote testimony. We don't have any registered remote testifiers. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? If you're on a phone, please press *6 to raise your hand. I think that's how. No, I'm sorry, *9 for your desire to speak. Okay, seeing done, we will now close remote testifiers. Is there anyone in person who wishes to testify on this transfer of fund for community policing? Okay, seeing none, members, we are now closing not remote, in-person testifiers, testimony. We will now move on back to discussion. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay. Chair recommends that Resolution 24-254 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving forward, agenda item number 3, which is Resolution 24-18, approving the new 5-year non-exclusive license agreement with the United States of America Department of the Navy for continued use of land at no cost within portions of Kuahelani Neighborhood Park, identified as TMK 9-4-005:046 and Anania Drive, Mililani, Hawaii, for environmental test, well monitoring, and a subsurface electrical line. Members, the committee approved the posted CD1 at OCS 2024-0337/4/9/2024 at 9:17 a.m. version at our April 2, 2024 meeting. We will be further amending the posted CD1 to include the revised draft non-exclusive license agreement as attached to communication D791. So once again, communication D791. Are there any questions about that? Okay, seeing none, we will move to the administration. We have Director Kawano with us, of the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services. Director Kawano, do you have anything for this? Resolution 24-18.
Budget Chair Andy Kawano and council members, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services, thank you for allowing us to comment on Resolution 24-18. We've worked with Council, Board of Water Supply, and our staff, and feel that the current CD1 that includes additional requirements to require the sharing of samples with the city, and the provision of future reports that are provided or generated by the Navy adequately cover, our needs going forward. So BFS's recommendation is that we move forward with the CD1 and get moving on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you're okay with our current CD1 that was amended and adopted, and then you're okay with us with the revised draft agreement that's in the updated CD1?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Members? Okay, no? All right. I know we've had a lot of discussion on this, so I know that we don't have to go through the same questions, but let's see. We'll move on to testimony. Thank you. Mm-hmm. We don't have any registered remote testifiers. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, we will now close remote testimony. We will now move on to in-person testifiers. Is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, we are back in discussion. Okay, members, as you know, we've had this for as long as you probably have had a full-term baby pregnancy. So I'm glad to have had this not resolved, but discussed with the different stakeholders at hand. And I'm appreciative that we are at this point to move this forward, as it is important for access. With that, if there's no further discussion, I will now move forward to my recommendation. No, wait. Can I do testimony? Recommendation. Okay, got it. The chair recommends that Resolution 24-18, CD1, identified as OCS 2024-03337, be further amended to incorporate the additional amendments discussed today. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. The chair then recommends that 24-18 CD1 be reported out for adoption finally. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Yay. Thank you. Woo. All right. Agenda item number 4, Resolution 24-192, which approves a communications site agreement with STC2 LLC for its existing telecommunication facility within the Laie Corporation Yard located at 56-020 Kamehameha Highway, Laie, Hawaii 96762, identified as tax map key numbers 5-6-006:001. Members, we have a proposed posted, it's on your agenda, CD1 OCS 2024-0737/8/1 2024 at 2:26 p.m. submitted by myself. Please review it. It is posted. It has been posted, and it was even posted, I think, at a prior agenda. So you haven't seen it. Well, for your information, the amendments are listed on the agenda. With us from the administration, we have Director Kawano, if you have anything to add for this. I know that we've had, I think, a few more than the normal amount of committee hearings for this as well.
Andy Kawano, Director of Public Budget and Fiscal Services. With regard to Resolution 24-192, no further comment. We would appreciate if we can move this forward.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions about this? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Director. In ROH Section 38-12.3, it sets out a table of monthly fees for the erection of these sorts of antennas and other things. And it also provides that if the Department of Transportation or Department of Information Technology determines that these fees are not equitable or feasible for the city, we can have an alternative amount by resolution, which is why we have this resolution here. We've had about 7 of them over the past 2 years. For each of those, it's been determined that the fee table that's an ordinance is not feasible or equitable. Thus, we have these resolutions. So is there an opportunity in the future to discuss the fees as an ordinance so we don't have to do these one-off resolutions from time to time? I'm just trying to make sure that if we're going to set something in ordinance as a fee, we follow those fees.
If the question is for me, it's possible, yes.
Okay, good.
Great. That would definitely help reduce the amount that we have here and make it easier for BFS to not have to wait for council approval.
Yeah, and I think that that would also make it a lot clearer and easier for the telecommunications companies so they know what to expect and don't have to negotiate with the city, which introduces uncertainty and ambiguity.
That's a fair point. Thank you very much, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Actually, I forgot to introduce all the members present, so what did I mention? We have Committee Vice Chair Weyer. We also have Council Chair Waters. We have Councilmember Say, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, and Councilmember DePola joining us in the committee today. Okay, moving forward. We will now proceed with remote testifiers. Are there any remote testifiers on Resolution 24-192? Okay, someone has indicated their desire to speak with a raised hand. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Last 3 digits, 296.
Yes, hi, my name is Kayla Bonner. I represent STC2. So I am open to any questions if the council members have any.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Kayla Bonner.
Kayla? Okay, thank you.
Kayla, yes.
Okay, thanks. All right. Okay, is there anyone else online who wishes to testify? Seeing none, members, we are closing remote testimony. I would like to move on to in-person testifiers. Is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, we are closing remote in-person testimony. We are now back in discussion. We're back in discussion, members. Okay, seeing none. Thank you. I just want to say thank you because I know that this came before us a few more times than normal. So thank you, everyone. The chair recommends that Resolution 24-192 be amended to the posted CD1 identified as OCS 2024-0737. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. The chair then recommends that Resolution 24-192 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving forward, agenda item number 5, Bill 54, 2024, which creates a fund to receive and expend funds from, I shouldn't change the title. To receive and expend monies from proceeds of the sale of taxable general obligation bonds to the city and county of Honolulu. Oh no, okay, hold on. I need to read the title over again. Bill 54, 2024, creating a fund to receive and expend monies from proceeds of the sale of taxable general obligation bonds of the city and county issued to pay all or part of those appropriations for improvements made in the capital budget ordinance of the city and county and specified therein to be expended from the taxable general improvement bond fund. With us from the city administration, we have Director Kawano from the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services.
Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. Thank you for allowing BFS to testify. With regard to Bill 54, I'd like to thank council members for moving the bill along. I believe it's an important bill. It will allow us to track taxable bond proceeds much more proficiently and allow us to ensure that we don't commingle non-taxable proceeds with taxable proceeds. We're going to need taxable bond proceeds to fund capital improvements for affordable housing development with mixed uses going forward. So we feel that the timing of this measure to put into law is something that we really need, so we support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. I have a question as it relates to the use of the general obligation bonds for housing. We know that even for just property and property use in general, sometimes language can be restricting more than inhibiting. And so I want to make sure that what we are approving here does not have any possible prohibitive language.
It actually does not. It provide the city more flexibility to use bond monies for development, especially when you have mixed uses as a part of the development for the public. So it actually provides more flexibility.
Thank you. And then how would we be able to see how much has been expended from this general obligation bonds, or like how many we've used in general obligation bonds for this specific mixed use development?
With the separate bond fund, we'll be able to provide reports on bond proceeds put into the fund as we issue bonds that are taxable, and we'll be able to provide information on expenditure. So we'll just have better control, better reporting through a fund that separately accounts for taxable bond proceeds.
And that will be reported to the council how?
Through the normal reporting process like we do. So it'll be included in our budget process. You'll receive budget schedules and other analysis that we provide for the non-taxable bond proceeds that we currently report on.
Okay, and is there a limit, or how much are we anticipating to, how much in totality and is the amount that we would be putting into the new fund?
The amount that we sell will be limited by the appropriations that we have, in ordinance. So ordinance will control how much in bonds we can sell, and depending on the use of the bond proceeds, type of project that we're developing, there could be requirements for a mixture of both non-taxable and taxable bond proceeds. I think we'll find out more on in terms of allocations for development as we go further along, in terms of home development.
Okay, and for clarification, as stated in Mayor's Message 182 of this year, that the mixed use, the housing with mixed use developments would be, would include like government property or government services such as child care centers, commercial hubs, and which is all should be consistent with the Oahu General Plan, correct?
Child care centers, eating places, restaurants that serve the general public could be a mixed use included in a development, and theaters, things like that. So.
And the housing would have to be all affordable housing, all 100% affordable units when it is using this general obligation funds?
No, it would not have to be all affordable. So if we follow requirements for, let's say, 201H, under Act 45, Act 45 was passed by the legislature this year, during this year's session 2024, you can have, a mixture of affordable and market units at the development, at the property.
Okay, so how then will we be able to track or ensure that we have a fair amount of usage of affordable housing as well as other mixed income units, but just ensure that we are making a dent?
We're going to go through the same approval processes we go through right now, for the state. So the county will be able to develop properties that the state does on a similar basis. So it'll go through planning and permitting like we do now. It'll go through the same process, and developers will be incentivized to have an adequate amount of affordable units so that they can maximize their funding stacks that are available. So it's really going to be business as usual. It's just that having taxable bond proceeds allows the county to participate with the state, working in concert with the state to increase our housing inventory.
Thank you, Director. Members, this is really exciting, but I also think that we should try to find, parameters to ensure that we have goals to increase our affordable housing unit ratio. So that's what my thoughts are. I don't know if anyone has any questions as it relates to how we're using this general obligation bonds. We have Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Director. These are listed as general improvement bonds, so does that preclude these funds for acquisition of property?
It does not. With Act 45, counties are able to use bonds for affordable housing development and mixed uses.
And that includes acquisition of property without improvements already on them?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
That's a great response. Well, that's, once again, exciting. Thank you very much. Members, are there any other questions for this? Okay. This is in its first committee hearing, so hopefully we can have further discussion about this. We will now move on to testimony. Thank you, Director. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? We don't have any registered remote testifiers. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none, we will now close remote testimony, and we will now move on to in-person testimony. Guys, this is exciting. This is great. I'm excited about this. Okay, anyway, I guess there's no registered remote in-person testifiers, and no one else wants to testify. I think you all share my same sentiment, I would assume. But we will now close in-person testimony. We are now back in discussion. Okay, any discussion, members? Okay, well, we'll hear it a few more times before it gets adopted. So the chair recommends that Bill 54, 2024 be reported out for second reading and scheduling of a public hearing. Any discussion, any objections, any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving forward, we have agenda item number, I don't know where, 6, which is, oh no, where it is. Bill 46, 2024, CD1, which addresses the, I can't read that, sorry. Okay, taxation of vacant residential properties in the city and county of Honolulu. Members, we have 4 proposed posted CD2s. Oh, posted CD2s, and in addition, and one hand carry. Well, I'll let the hand carried CD2 go first, and then we'll have Councilmember, in the order that we have Councilmember Say, Councilmember Weyer, Councilmember Kia Aina, and Council Chair Waters. Okay, a hand carry by Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. This is a fairly simple one. It's based off the existing CD1, and instead of depositing the 20% of the revenues into the Affordable Housing Fund as provided by Charter, it instead would deposit those funds into the Housing Development Special Fund, which is in ROH Section 6-46.3, because as we're instructed, there may be problems putting the funds into the Charter Affordable Housing Fund.
Thank you. So Councilmember Say, followed by Weyer, followed by Kia Aina, followed by Waters.
The measure before us is the same as the one that was submitted in the earlier hearing.
Thank you. Councilmember Weyer.
Thank you, Chair. So first, I'll just note I would generally be withdrawing our proposed amendment, and just note that I think it could be an easy oral amendment to any other potential drafts. And instead of being a modification to the primary residence definition, could possibly just be simplified and put into the exemption section as, someone, or, that essentially you could be renting to someone that works or attends school on Oahu, though they may have another primary residence. Because I think part of the issue and the concern was just how we're going to define primary residence. And if someone, I think, is quote unquote living out their life here, going to work, going to school, spending their time in a particular place, that satisfies, I think, the goal of the bill, understanding that they'd be, participating in our housing market.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
And I know that you said that you would be withdrawing it, but is there a version that is proposed and another version that you're, I guess I'll ask you later.
So I think the proposal for today, since we don't have our own draft, and assuming the committee wanted to move the bill out, I guess the request would be maybe to contemplate it as an oral amendment. If that bill's going to get deferred, we can work on incorporating or putting language into our own CD, or are open to other folks if they're interested in incorporating it.
And specifically, the oral amendment would be for the definition, right? As you stated, or can you repeat the oral amendment part?
Yeah, so it could be adding an exemption in lieu of what's in the current draft, which, the current draft that we submitted, I think, is making a definition adjustment. Instead of doing that, it could just go into the exemption section as, if you're renting, and I'll defer if you want to refine the language, but renting to someone that works or attends school on Oahu, maybe even if they have another primary residence off island. And I'll just kind of explain the background in case Chair has concerns, or thoughts, but it arose from a couple community members that are already in long-term leases with folks that are stationed in Hawaii. So these are military that are here for several years, and they're just concerned by the strictness of the definition and how it could be interpreted if, for example, someone that's enlisted, stationed here, is renting from a local person, but maybe is registered to vote and has a home in their home state. They're just concerned, and we didn't want BFS to swoop them up as not qualifying for the exemption or as having a primary residence for someone.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so we have next, thank you. Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go over my amendments, which I'm also going to withdraw because I do believe that Chair Waters' array of exemptions is inclusive of it. So mine would have proposed 20% of the empty homes tax revenues be allocated to, of course, increase the city's supply of affordable housing. The remaining 80% going into the general fund. It revised the first exemption to include physical occupants as well as principal residents for an aggregate total of 6 months to be exempt from the empty homes tax. The point being, many families, many friends have huis, and they are all local families that are impacted, and they do, they have these homes that and so they're local families. And lastly, it adds an additional exemption for properties that are second dwellings owned by someone who has a home exemption for principal residence, and it limits it to only the second dwelling. Again, there's no need for these amendments since Chair Waters' amendments addresses them. Thanks.
Mahalo. Next, we move forward to Council Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. After our last budget hearing, I took to heart what a lot of the testifiers said. So what my draft does is, rather than a supplemental tax, we create a new tax category called the empty homes tax category. Also, in listening to what happened at full council last month where Mr. Kuroda came and testified, we do take into account family huis. So it addresses that situation. And then other miscellaneous improvements, just as an example, one of the testifiers talked about military service or deployment. We changed it to orders, I believe. But again, we just revised the exemptions to try to take care of as many local families as we could. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the amendments, the posted amendments, are listed on the agenda. Once again, noting the withdrawal of Council Vice Chair Kia'aina, as well as Councilmember Weyers. We have Councilmember Says and Council Chair Waters posted, and then we have Councilmember Dos Santos Tams for consideration. With that, let's see here. We have from the City Administration, we have Director Kawano. I apologize. The posted one that I was referring to is actually for Council Chair Waters. Council Chair Waters has a posted, not posted, hand-carried, excuse me, hand-carried one for members who wish to look at it online. It's OCS 2024-1029/11/21/2024. Oh, it's not online? Oh, it was passed out, excuse me. Sorry. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilmember Say.
would it be possible if Chair Waters would go down the line as far as all of the exemptions that you had proposed, Chair Waters, in trying to incorporate the concerns of all the testifiers at our, was it Central Oahu or Leeward Oahu town hearing? So if you start on page 1, you start with the new section 2. That way the general public knows what the exemptions are. Chair, would you like to read it? Up to Q, right?
Also, I would like to note that it is online.
Yeah.
So it is online as well as on, but anyway, Council Chair Waters, this is the time we were talking about our committee drafts.
Rather than reading it off right now, I'd prefer we have the discussion, and then I'd be happy to go over all the exemptions.
Fine with me, Councilmember Say?
That would be fine.
Thank you very much. Okay, so while that, once again, it's online, the hand carried, and if you need to see it, it is OCS 2024-1029/11/21. But if you just go to the bill page, you can go down, see all the different reiterations. You'll see the timeline. You'll see that posted. Okay, Director Kawano, you're back up.
For the record, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. I'm just going to speak contemporaneously. I want to thank council members for taking a hard look at the bill and, making the amendments that they feel that's appropriate. I also want to share that, we do have Ernst & Young LLP, a consultant, reviewing this measure in two phases. Phase 1 is a feasibility phase. Phase 2 will be the execution phase to put the measure into operation and provide guidance on doing that. Phase 1 is targeted to be completed at the end of January 2025. I respectfully ask council members to slow down and not go to third reading until we have a report back from the consultants on the feasibility of the bill. My concern is due to council members, listening to feedback from the public, the number of exemptions that have been added to the bill that I believe could extremely water down the amount of homes that are, quote, empty based on what, we can actually validate and what can actually be supported. So I suggest strongly that we allow this study to at least get through phase 1 so we can get feedback from a third party who has been involved in other programs that are effectively working. I'm speaking about the Vancouver program in Canada specifically. There is concern of cost of the program, to properly administer a program with a number of exemptions approaching 20 is going to be extremely challenging. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to need staff to review, evaluate, and then enforce the law such that we're sure that the exemptions that are being processed are valid and accurate. I'll stand by for questions.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. Director, could you describe what administrative costs the city would incur through implementing this tax? I have several questions for you.
Yeah, at a high level, they talk about people, process, technology all the time. All of those broad categories are going to have to be considered once council decides on the law, and once adopted, we're going to have to do our analysis and then determine what we're going to need in place to properly administer the law. And we're going to need, as we are now, we have vacancies in our real property assessment division. We're not sure. We're hoping that the consultants will help us to determine where this administrative unit will be placed. But as of right now, we don't have the capacity or capability to administer the law. We're going to have to build that up extremely quickly, once the bill is passed. We're not sure if our current technology has the capacity to tack on the processing, required for this tax. Currently, it's strained. I mentioned earlier that the system is already slow. We have processing errors that sometimes require reprocessing of information to ensure that we have, valuations being calculated correctly. And so that's already happening now. And the concern is we add on another significant real property tax program on top of that, whether the system can handle that appropriately.
Okay, so currently we have no staff to take care of the resources to implement this tax, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question is: if a new homeowner misses the deadline for applying for an exemption, what happens? What happens then?
In the first year, the way I read the bill, there's a grace period. Such that they'll have an opportunity to, turn it in after the initial deadline. But once we go beyond the first year, there are going to be significant penalties that are charged. And that's something else that this new entity would have to track equitably and include in, invoicing to taxpayers.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tolba. We have, Councilmember Tupola, followed by Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
Thank you so much, Chair. Aloha, Director. Thank you for being here. Quick question with the Ernst & Young study, how much are we paying for that study?
That study is FRF funded, so it's ARPA funded, and the cost is just under $500,000. I believe about $498,000.
So there's a significant amount of money going towards studying this. My next question is, two main things that I'm really concerned about in making any decision about this bill is, are they going to figure out, based on whatever final decision of definition of vacant homes, how many exist, and are they going to come up with a cost for how to implement it? Because, say, for example, we don't have very many vacant homes after all the exemptions. Would that study come up with the amount that it would cost real property tax to implement and show us whether or not that would be reasonable if there's all this cost but maybe not as much revenue? We're not sure right now, that's why.
Yeah, their goal is to come up with estimates of revenue and estimated counts of empty homes to support it, as well as come up with an operating budget for the administrative unit that would put this measure into operation.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty crucial to have that information because, you know, per the law, we should be aligning whatever percentage or amount with however much it's going to cost to administrate. And because usually, right, that's what taxes do. If you tax something, then there's a service being provided, but we're not totally sure how much it will cost to provide this service. But thank you for your updates on that. Do you guys have a position on the 1%, 2%, or 3%, or, you know, of what the amount should be? I know back in 2020, when Bill 76 came up with kind of what Councilmember Waters is proposing, it just proposed a tax bracket with no percentage, and there was a separate conversation, but it didn't pass. Would you guys not have an opinion until the study's done, or what is your thoughts on what the amount should be?
My personal opinion is, so, you know, in terms of what the tax rates will be or whether or not we end up with fixed amounts, I think we need to understand cost first. We do know that year one in Vancouver, Canada, with regard to their empty homes tax program, incurred, and this is back in 2017, so we'd have to bring those costs to the current, but their program costs about $7.5 million annually.
And do you know how many vacant homes they had or how many they were?
There's, I don't have it on the top of my head, but there's information on how much they started with, and I think at the current stage they're at now, they're actually reducing vacant homes.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Council Vice Chair Kia Aina, followed by Council Chair Waters.
Thank you. Director, hypothetically, if Chair Waters' amendments, and the reason I use his as a marker is because his exemptions are the most exhaustive, right? And he and his staff put in a lot of work to look at the array of all of the potential impacts. Even with that, for me, I don't know if it covers everything, but they did a pretty good job. My question is, hypothetically, if it were to successfully pass out of committee today and held, rather than go for third reading, do you believe the Ernst study could take a look at that draft to account for the exemptions so that we potentially could understand the universe of empty homes? So you have two categories. You have empty homes in general, and then you have a subcategory of empty homes per the exemptions.
I really do. They will help us to understand, you know, what the impact will be and the financial feasibility of the program as a result of that. As of this point in time, they are aware because we post all of these measures, right, proposed measures for the public to review. They are aware that there are new measures out there for review. They would like us to provide guidance to them on where we're headed, in terms of the measure that's going to go to third reading, so that they can complete their analysis.
Sure. So I just want your commitment that, again, because there's a lot of measures out there, amendments, but the final version, I think that it would be helpful, and later on during discussion, I'll talk about it more. I just want to make sure that you can make that commitment, that Ernst & Young will make an assessment of the draft that passes, should it pass out of committee today, part of their study, again, so we could have two categories, the universe of empty homes and the universe of empty homes after the exemptions are taken into account. That's all I wanted to know, and your answer is yes, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's good. Thank you. Council Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Director. So basically, you are in support of the empty homes tax, you and the administration, correct?
I am in support of finding ways to develop or make available more homes for people that need homes. But at this point in time, I don't have enough information to be in support of any of the measures yet. I need more information.
So you're speaking as the director, but you're not speaking for the mayor today, right?
I'm speaking for myself, that's correct.
Thank
Yes.
you. And the implementation date on Bill 46, which is on the last page of the bill, is the taxable year 2027, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there's time between today, 2024, and 2027 to figure out exactly how you're going to implement this bill, right?
There is time, but it's going to be extremely tight, even with the 2027 fiscal year, because when you think about it, and going back to my comments to Councilmember Talba, it's people, so we're going to have to do a reorg. We're going to have to figure out where to put this new unit.
Yeah.
That takes time. We're going to have to go through procurement, I'm pretty sure, to engage
Well, and that's
services
what the
for a new
Ernst &
system.
Young group was hired to help us with, right? Because I met with them. Thank you for allowing them to meet with me. I met with them. They told me, and I wish you were there, I know you couldn't be there that day, but they told me there's a high likelihood that this tax is worth it. And it will achieve what we want to achieve because it has done that in other jurisdictions. Isn't that correct?
Every jurisdiction is not the same.
Correct. But in other jurisdictions, it worked, right? It provided more empty homes for, well, it lessened the amount of empty homes.
As I stated in prior testimony, it can work if we do it the right way, if we get it done right. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't have any.
And by the way, the people that you hired are the same people who helped Vancouver and other jurisdictions implement the very same tax, right?
That is correct.
So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That helps us. But you know as well as I do, the medium income or medium price of a home in Honolulu, an island of Oahu, is over $1.1 million, right?
That's correct.
And we're paying the highest rent in the country, right? According to this UHERO 2024 tax book study, right? We pay the highest rent in the entire country. Honolulu.
If that's what UHERO says, that's their assessment.
And according to UHERO in 2022, 67,000 residents of Hawaii left Hawaii, right? You read this fact book, right?
I didn't read that fact, but I've heard people quote it. Yeah.
Okay, and the city already did a study, analyzing the prospect of a taxing empty homes. UCLA did it. We hired UCLA to do this, right? You're aware of this study, right?
I'm aware of it, yeah.
Yeah, and what does this study say? Are you aware of what the recommendation of this study that we already did? You know what this says? I'll read it to you. In sum, we recommend, it's on page 48, we recommend that the City and County of Honolulu implement a robust and enforceable empty homes tax. We already paid for this, right? That's what I was telling you. Why we even got to pay for another $500,000 study when we already have one that says to do it? But I agreed with you, and what they're saying, this Ernst & Young, is how to implement it. And we got time. If this bill takes effect in 2027, and by the way, I really enjoyed meeting with these folks, so thank you. They're the guys who help the other jurisdictions implement this, and they're gonna help you and me and all of us do it. But the time is now. The time is now. This study was done in 2021, 3 years ago. You know as well as I do, I introduced this very same measure like 3 times already. Like, and you want to put it off again. Members, I think the time is now. We can't wait. According to the Hero Fact Book, we are in a housing crisis. We can't build our way out of this. It's just one tool. It's not going to be the silver bullet, everybody. It's not. But it's one tool that we can use to fill these empty homes. By the way, people want to invest their money here because we have the lowest property tax rate in the country. In the country. Can you imagine rich people coming in, they buy these houses, they don't care if people are renting it out or not. They don't care because they're parking it here in a couple of years, they're going to sell them and make money. And guess what happens to the local people? You know, there was a bill in the legislature, they wanted to just ban foreigners from buying or ban out-of-staters from buying. We cannot. The United States Constitution says we can't. But guess what? You want to park your money here and leave that house vacant, help us pay for affordable housing that we can build. Help us pay to address the homelessness problem. That's why we're doing this, guys. That's why we're doing it. And for you to tell me that it's going to take, it's really hard to implement. Yeah, of course, anything worthwhile is worth the hard work. So I want to encourage you and your team to fight. Fight hard and get it done. Get it done. You can do it. I know you can. You and Smart Bugger.
You have a question?
Okay, thank you. I'll get off my soapbox.
Thank you. Next, I also have a question for do you take into consideration the Oahu Real Property Tax Advisory Commission? Because I know that they also had that study that recommended that we need to do this because the ORPTAC are our neighbors, are people who have a vested interest in real property. But not only that, appointed from across the island, right? And then they also work with teams, your BFS teams, to come up with information that gets them to their recommendations. Is that correct?
You know, maybe my memory is fading me, but the last study they did, Oahu Real Property Tax, I don't recall them mentioning empty homes tax. Maybe they did, but I still truly believe that we have to do it right. The empty homes tax is one of the tools that we can use to provide more affordable housing, more housing in general for the public, but it's just one of the many tools. You know, it's not
Totally.
As Chair Waters said, it's not the silver bullet. It's not the one thing that's going to get us there.
Thank you. Well, yeah. I'll end our discussion here because I do want to go to testimony. There's another committee at 2:30, guys, so I'm going to try my best. All right, we'll move on. Thank you, Director. Pause for a moment, and then we're going to go to, we have discussion. We have discussion after testimony. Okay, sorry. Moving to testimony, I need the testimony list. Thank you. Okay, I'll go with remote since I have it in front of me. We have Rick Phillips, followed by Levi Brooker, followed by Connor Birdsall. Come on, guys, we have a 2:30 meeting. Rick Phillips, let's go.
Aloha, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm in favor of Chair Waters' amendments, especially Section 1.p, the exemption that recognizes not everybody works or goes to school in Honolulu. There's a lot of retirees here too. So this Section P seems to address retired people. It talks about retirement income. It doesn't really say if 401ks are considered retirement income, and says something about the payments have to be received by some address in the city. I assume that it's either a bank or the account owner has to have a address with the bank. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, moving forward, Levi Brooker, followed by Connor Birdsall, followed by Josh Stanbro. Oh wait, actually, that he's in person, right? Never mind. Everett Humphreys. Levi, please start.
Sorry. So I'm in favor of the bill in general. I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I have ties to Honolulu. My wife lived there for many years, and she couldn't afford to live there either. And we own a place in Ko'olina, which is in a resort zone. And I would just ask that City Council, discuss with COCA the potential impacts of this bill on areas like Ko'olina that were zoned to allow people to buy second homes there. Don't seem to be contributing directly to the housing crisis. And I believe there would be pretty significant damages to all the residents, full-time residents and second homeowners in areas like Ko'olina. In my opinion, resort zones should be just completely exempt from the second homes tax, because I think that is logical and just makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, moving forward to Everett Humphreys, followed by Stu Simmons.
Can you hear me?
Please proceed.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. My name's Ed Humphreys. I also have a condo at Ko'olina Kai in the Ko'olina development. And I request that this bill not be approved or that Ko'olina be exempt from the ordinance in its entirety. Ko'olina was developed as a resort community where transient vacation rentals were to be permitted. The Department of Planning and Permitting for the City and County of Honolulu has recognized this. When Ko'olina was developed, the city required that the developer build low-cost housing. They built 392 units for the benefit of low to moderate income families. To go back and now tax Ko'olina on top of that would appear to be unfair, as this was developed as a resort community for people to be able to live there part-time and rent out their homes. Now to come back after the developer built 392 low to moderate income homes for low to moderate income families would seem to be improper. And I request that you exempt Ko'olina from this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Seeing none, moving forward to Stu Simmons, followed by Albany Cody, followed by Piper Neri. Sue, please proceed. Stu?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Ken. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. My name is Stu Simmons. I'm a housing advocate, and I work with numerous community groups to promote housing, residential housing for local residents. I think my concern with the bill is that it will be opening homes to be used as principal residences. And so my question to the City Council, and more importantly to the City Administration and the Corporate Council, is do they believe the language of the bill will allow them to successfully enforce that the property will only be rented by actual residents who are using it as a principal resident and not visitors? I hope very much we can get an answer to this question before you vote on the bill, in order to make sure the bill is successful in its purpose and there will succeed in its purpose, and there will be no unintended consequences such as renting it as vacation rentals.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? None. Seeing none, we have Albany Cody, followed by Piper Neri, followed by Rhonda Chingday. Oh, sorry. If you're here in person, I will call you. So can I have a pen? We will now go with Piper Neri. Oh, are you also in person? Okay, wait. I'll call you later. Rhonda Chingday, followed by Madeline McKeague. Rhonda.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I want to express my strong opposition to Bill 46. In addition to the brought up exemption process being burdensome when property owners who might be experiencing medical challenges and caring for their family are having unnecessary stress. Just imagine having to present all of the documentation could be very burdensome. In addition to the question whether we have enough administrative staff to process these exemptions, since we can't seem to handle our permit overload, I think we really need to address that before you even think about approving this bill. Also, the most important is legal challenges. I believe just earlier in the month, the San Francisco Superior Court invalidated the city's empty homes tax based on property rights infringement, due processing, equal protection violations, and preemption by state law. And so before you even consider approving this, just imagine we should be looking at, will there be legal challenges? And is that going to be an additional budgetary concern to, debate this? I really think we need to focus.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, moving forward to Madeline McKeague. Oh, okay. Margaret Murchie, in person too? In person? Okay, Robert Gold, followed by Natalie Arbois. Okay, Robert Gold.
Aloha, my name is Robert Gould. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
My name is Robert Gould. I'm opposed to Bill 46 in its present form. Here's why. You've done a good job on your amendments in addressing concerns with this bill, but as Director Kawano stated, you should table this bill until the Ernst & Young provides their report. How can they do their study with the ongoing changes in the bill? You really need to have answers to these questions before proceeding with the bill. Given the current amendments to the bill, how many dwellings will qualify for the added tax? What is the tax assessed value for these dwellings? What will the initial total added tax revenue be? What is the maximum tax limit going to be? How will that affect the revenue? Until you can answer all these questions and demonstrate that the temporary revenue is worth the effort and liability, you should table this bill. As it stands now, you're putting the cart before the horse. Remember, as Councilman Weyer said, if this bill works as intended, all the empty dwellings will be filled. At that point, you will have no added tax revenue, but you will still have the administrative costs and the lawsuit liabilities.
Thank you. We've needed the administrative costs long before we even thought of this. Thank you very much. Moving forward, any other questions? All right, moving forward. Is Graylin in person? Okay. How about Jocelyn Ackroyd? Okay, in person. Robert Perkinson, I saw you in person. Miley Skinner, in person. John Tavares, in person. Evan Oy, are you in person? Okay. Elvia Alvarado, in person. Jim Tree, are you online? Jim? So we have Jim Tree. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I wanted to share with you a recent, maybe you're already aware of it, but the University of Chicago, which is rated the third best law school in the United States, recently published a law review article on the vacant home tax. And they looked closely at the San Francisco bill, and they said that's one of the most strict bills in the country. They predicted it would be found constitutional in the lawsuit just before the judge on October 31st ruled it was unconstitutional. Interestingly enough, San Francisco's would no longer, if it were to remain valid, which it apparently is not as of today anyway, it would not be the strictest in the country any longer, as Honolulu's is much stricter. For example, San Francisco exempts all single-family residences and duplexes. Only buildings with 3 or more units qualify for the empty homes tax explanation. Any occupancy in San Francisco counts toward the 6-month stay. You don't have to be a principal residence. All legal short-term rental properties are automatically exempt, and the maximum tax is $5,000.
Thank you.
These are all.
Do you have any further? I know that some of those points have been addressed in the exemptions, but are there any other last comments that are possible changes in addition?
Yes, just one.
Okay, go ahead.
That the law review article stated that this law review was written as a roadmap for municipalities that are considering implementing an empty homes tax. So I hope that you'll read it. And it says the more severe the bill, the more likely it'll be found unconstitutional. So I'd ask you to dial back on some of the severe clauses and so that it'll remain valid once it's passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tree. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving forward, we have, is William Roll in person? Okay. Susan Lay in person? Okay. Jenny Kono in person? Jenny Kono, are you online? What?
Chair testifier is not.
Okay, Jenny Kono. Okay, all right, that might be in person. All right, so we'll go now. Is there anyone else online who wishes to testify? Please use the raise hand feature or press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Anyone online? Okay, seeing none, closing remote testimony. Closing remote testimony, we are now moving to in-person testifiers. For registered remote testifiers, we have Donna Coles, followed by Ray Kamikawa, followed by Marianne Bruno. So Donna Coles. Okay, when I start reading your names, please start to line up because time. Press, yeah.
On, you can hear me. Okay, 1 minute, whoa. So first of all, it sounds like we're trying to pass a bill that we don't know what's in it, and we can't know the administrative costs until it's passed. Whoever the gentleman that was, Tommy Waters was questioning, kudos to him. Appleseed, Hawaii Appleseed said that there's 13% of housing units that are now owned by individuals who do not live in Hawaii. So that's 87% of local residents that are going to be affected by this burden of having to prove that they have an exemption, or maybe there's a loophole in exemption, but I think it's truly unconstitutional. Do I have a time limit?
You'll hear a buzzer.
Okay.
So please conclude when you do it.
Okay, so I do think it's unconstitutional. It's violating your due process rights, and I think many people do not want to be landlords, and they shouldn't be forced to be a landlord. They should have an incentive versus a de-incentivize. So I don't know if it's been explored about having incentivizations, but it should be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think that is something that has been discussed a lot. Mr. Ray Kamikawa, followed by Marianne Bruno, followed by Suzanne Young.
Thank you, Chair. Members, I support the proposed CD2 by Chair Waters, providing for grandfathering all existing leases until they terminate. Thank you very much for your consideration. Appreciate it.
Okay, members, any questions for Mr. Kamikawa? And I forgot for also Ms. Coles. Okay, seeing none. Marianne Bruno, followed by Suzanne Young, followed by Albany Cody.
Thank you, Chair and committee members and Budget Director. I spoke at the last meeting, and really what comes to mind right now is thinking in a positive direction to invest in Hawaii and putting out bonds for people who want to invest to create affordable housing. There's land available, and I see that as a better direction. There's container homes that are easily ready to be built out to live in, and they're really nice. I mean, there's just all kinds of different opportunities. So I'd like to have everyone think forward in that direction. And I do oppose Act 46 because I am a person that would be affected. I live in a 2-bedroom condo. I caregive, so 1 bedroom's occupied by my brother. I have a second condo.
Please finish your statement.
I have a second condo that I utilize for my family that have moved off island and friends as well, and I'd like to continue to give them the opportunity to come back home to visit and be here with me. Thank you.
Thank you. I do think it sounds like you may be exempt in a few of the versions of the amendment, but before I move on to the next person, I have to make an announcement that the Committee on Public Infrastructure and Technology will be starting late. I don't know if I have to say a certain time. Do I have to say a certain time? Can we do by 3 o'clock, guys? Because I also have another bill to do. Yeah? Okay, 3 o'clock? Are you okay with that?
3 or 3:30. If you need more time, that's fine.
Okay, 3 or 3:30. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving forward, we have Suzanne Young, followed by Albany Cody, followed by Piper Neri. And yes, please line up, guys. Okay, thank you.
Aloha, everyone. We all know, look, we represent the realtors, and every single day they are struggling to work with clients, especially first-time home buyers. We know firsthand that we have an affordable housing issue, and if we thought the empty homes tax bill was going to help, we would support it. The legal challenges related with San Francisco, it's been stated, San Francisco has a $2,500 to $5,000 flat rate tax. If you have a local resident, most likely, as they stated, 87% will be local residents. Let's just take a $500,000 home. That's a $15,000 tax. You are subjecting yourself and taxpayers with legal fees for a bill that may not work. And we have suggested to you that residential A is a better approach. And if you look at my testimony, you will see that, and Chair Waters, I know that this is urgent. We need to get it done quickly, but you're already looking at 2027. Res A, in 1 year, when you change the rate higher, you went from 58 million to 84 million. You can generate money from Res A, and that is why we ask that you defer this for so many reasons. Wait for the study. It's coming out in January. And let's work together, because Res A is a legally proven and financially sound way to go. So we respectfully ask that you defer.
Thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne, actually, I was told that I have to have you state your name for the record, please.
My apologies. Suzanne Young, CEO, Honolulu Board of Realtors.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Albany Cody, followed by Piper Neri, followed by Madeline McKeague, followed by Margaret Murchie. Yes. Albany, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for hearing my testimony today. My name is Albany Coate. I'm a senior at UH Manoa. I've been working with, alongside my classmates to focus on passing this bill. This bill is important, and it's important right now. So many people, while statistics are really important about cost, that is a really important part to consider. Real people are experiencing real issues with housing right now. And that's why we need to pass this bill as soon as possible so that we can start feeling the impacts of it as soon as possible. This bill needs to be comprehensive and robust enough to actually do the work it was intended to do when it was created. If it's not, then we will have instated a new bill that is not going to be effective in the way that it really needs to be. So we have a decision to make by either prioritizing families, local Hawaiian families who are living here now and spending money here on our economy, or we can prioritize the people who own a home here but do not actually live on island. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Albany, and I apologize. I get your name wrong like 4 times already.
You're good, no worries.
Next, we have Piper Neri, followed by Madeline McKeague, followed by Margaret Murchie, followed by Natalie Arbois. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okay, Piper.
Hi, my name is Piper Neri. I'm a student at UH Manoa and a Honolulu resident. I am in strong support of Bill 46 because it really represents a much needed step towards addressing our housing crisis and protecting the well-being of our community. Right now, too many local families are being priced out of their own neighborhoods while homes sit empty, owned by absentee investors, or reserved as second homes for occasional visits. Bill 46 is a practical solution that encourages these vacant properties to be used for what they should be, homes for people, not financial assets. For those hesitant to support this bill, I respectfully urge you to consider what's at stake here. Are we prioritizing those who already have the luxury of multiple homes, often living out of state, or are we supporting local families who simply need a place to live? This bill is not about punishing anyone or restricting anyone. It's about restoring balance and fairness to a housing market that has left so many behind. Let's show that we value our people and communities above all else.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, moving forward to Madeline McKeague, followed by Natalie Arbois, followed by Graylin Bergonio.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Madeline McKeag on behalf of the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. We stand on our written testimony, and I would like to emphasize a few statistics that we have in there. On average, 14% of Native Hawaiians in this state live in crowded households. That is more than one person per room in a house. That is twice more than the state average, and that is almost 5 times more than the national average. The number of crowded homes jumps up to 21% when we are looking at just Native Hawaiian renters. Overcrowding is how many Native Hawaiians can afford to live, but that is not sustainable, that is not healthy, and what happens when it doesn't even work anymore? What happens is we are pushed to the streets, where Native Hawaiians make up a disproportionate number of the unhoused population, and what happens is we are pushed to the continent, where more than half of all Native Hawaiians are now. In practice, what that means is we cannot afford to live in our homelands, and so it is imperative that we do something. It is imperative we do everything. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, Margaret Murchie, followed by Natalie Arbois, followed by Graylin Bergonio, followed by Jocelyn Ackroyd. Margaret? Seeing none, Natalie, followed by Graylin, followed by Jocelyn, followed by Robert Perkinson, and then Miley Skinner.
Hello, my name is Natalie Arbois. I'm here in support of Bill 46. When I was a kid, my dad was stationed here on Oahu. Over time, my family has made friends with the locals here and the Native Hawaiians. Sadly, throughout the years, these friends have been forced to move off the island due to financial reasons. I believe this bill can help keep families in the place they call home and have roots too. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you. So we have Graylin Bergonio, followed by Jocelyn Ackroyd, followed by Robert Perkinson, followed by Miley Skinner, and followed by Josh Stambro.
Hello, my name is Graylin Bergonio. I'm going to keep this short. I'm from Ewa Beach, Hawaii, and I support the empty home tax bill. I strongly disagree with the market trend here in Hawaii, and I would love to continue to live here in my own home one day. But if the market is dominated by investors and vacant homes, how is that even possible? My question to those is that, what is Hawaii without its people? Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, we have, what was that? Jocelyn Ackroyd, followed by Robert Perkinson, followed by Miley Skinner, followed by Josh Stanbro. And then after that is John Tavares.
Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Ackroyd, and I'm a college student at Manoa. I'm fortunate enough to also be employed under that university as well. I live off campus as I was unable to get housing, and though I have a well-paying job for the state of Hawaii, where the minimum wage is from $10 to $14 an hour, not a rate to sustain a family or barely oneself. It barely covers my portion of rent and enough for essential needs when, or if I can, do more hours. There are families that are crammed into one space and have to have multiple incomes solely to cover only the rent portion, leaving them next to nothing for essential needs like meals, hygiene products, and clothing, while there sits an empty dwelling that could be filled with people that need it. If we can create safe places families can live a real life and not one of daily struggle, then I'm for it, and I believe that this bill can if passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, we have Robert Perkinson, followed by Miley Skinner, followed by Josh Stambro, followed by John Tavares, followed by Ebenoy.
Aloha. Thank you, Council, for considering this bill. My name is Robert Perkinson, and I support Bill 46, a robust and broad and elegant version that can have a real effect on the housing market and can withstand legal scrutiny and can also be amended if necessary as additional information comes to light. I want to point out, I know you guys are facing a lot of opposition, some people who are well-connected and outspoken and smart, but it's the number of people in Hawaii can have an entirely empty home and give up all of the possible rental revenue from that investment, you know, at least $24,000 a year and up of revenue that they're foregoing. That's a small set of the population that can afford to sit on an asset like that and to leave it fallow. Also, of course, people, when they work hard, we want them generally to be able to invest in whatever they want, but this is a real crisis. In wartime, do we allow people to hoard ammunition? In a famine, do we let them hoard food? No, and we should not do that with housing in Honolulu.
Thank you. very much. Next, we have Miley. Oh, any questions? Okay, next we have Miley Skinner, followed by Josh Stambro, followed by John Tavares, followed by Evan Oy, followed by Elvia Alvarado.
Hi, my name is Miley Skinner. I was born and raised in Wailua, and I'm speaking for the younger generation on behalf of Bill 46. I grew up in Wailua, and I saw a lot of homelessness, especially throughout the elementary schools and the high schools. When I graduated in 2020, a lot of local friends, Native Hawaiians, and residents had to move to Arizona and Las Vegas because of the extreme skyrocketing house costs, and essentially we have 34,000 vacant units on Oahu, and I think, why should we prioritize non-residents when we have natives and locals who are displaced and don't even have one home to begin with? I think, we should hopefully allocate proper exemptions and where the money goes, and we don't want too many loopholes because that can eventually be abused. But I hope that this bill essentially helps the people of Hawaii, especially the younger generation, to remain in the place that they call home. And yeah, thank you so much.
Mahalo for that. Seeing no questions for the testifier, we'll go to Josh Stambro.
Aloha, council members. My name is Josh Stambro, and I just want to recall that this was the first #1 strategy action in the resilience strategy that was published by the city and endorsed by the community 5 years ago. I want to commend the council for getting it this far. This has been studied to death, and the time to move is now. I think when you boil it down, status quo rewards folks and allows for people to have 2 homes when other folks don't even have a chance at one. I'm very happy to have moved home just recently after spending 2 years in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has a vacancy tax policy there, 5%, and it's 10% if it's a blighted home. I drive by 2 vacant homes every day here in Palolo on my way home, and that was not the case in Washington, D.C. They have incentivized it to the point where those homes are being filled by local residents, and then they're putting the money into an affordable housing fund, $100 million a year, and 3% of the housing now in D.C. has been supported by that fund where local folks can live. So I will just end on, if you have folks calling in from California out of their cars opposing this, I think you have a sense of how well this will work. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no questions for the testifier, mahalo for your testimony. We'll go to John Tavares.
Aloha, my name is John Tavares. I'm born and raised on Oahu in Kailua. I'm here to express my support for Bill 46, as I think it is critical in addressing the housing crisis that we all face right now in Hawaii. I've seen family and friends struggle with affording a home and being forced to leave to the mainland to live because they simply can't afford it here. I strongly support Councilmember Waters' statement about that the time is now and that we are approaching, if not past already, a point that more Hawaiians live on the continent than in the state of Hawaii, which is, in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous. I do think that homeowners that can afford to have a second home here should be able to help out, at least in portion, with this crisis and with the funding that comes from it. We can use it to spend on affordable housing or just improving the state of Hawaii in general. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, we have Evan Oy, followed by Elvia Alvarado, followed by William Roll.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Evan Oy on behalf of NIAP Hawaii. We do respectfully stand in opposition to this measure. You have a written testimony. Just to summarize a few of the main points. Our main concern is the lack of clarity. Regarding implementation, after speaking with Ernst & Young, there seems to be a lack of clarity as to how this will be implemented, the cost of implementation, the scope of how many houses this will apply to, and whether the costs will be covered, and if there will be enough to accomplish the goals of the bill of developing more affordable housing. Given this lack of clarity, we're also concerned that this may discourage investment in affordable housing here in Honolulu, given the additional risk that this may impose. So we respectfully oppose this measure and are happy to discuss moving forward as well. But thank you for the time, Chair.
Do you members any questions?
Real quick, Chair. I'll make it quick. Just the last time you came, you brought up some constitutionality, which is different than the points you brought up today. But I do think that the San Francisco lawsuit actually touched upon some of the stuff that you guys had brought up in your testimony.
Yes, I just wanted to summarize a few of the main points, but our testimony does also touch on the legal ramifications that this could potentially have in terms of the taking clause, and it could result in the regulatory taking in depriving, members the ability to exclude people from their property. That is a potential legal concern, and also with the addition of the new San Francisco ruling, I think that's something that the council should take into consideration when weighing out this measure.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mahalo. Next, we have Elvia Alvarado, followed by William Roll, followed by Susan Lay, followed by Jenny Kono.
Aloha, and thank you for listening to me today, City Council members. My name is Elvia Alvarado. I am a political science student at University of Hawaii at Manoa, and today I want to speak about the critical importance of prioritizing the people of Hawaii over foreign investors and those who view Hawaii not as a home, but as a vacation destination. Hawaii should not be a playground for the wealthy while our working families are pushed out of their own communities. The reality is breaking. Parents working 2 or 3 jobs just to afford rent. Families uprooted because they can no longer afford to live where they grew up, and entire communities fractured by the forces of economic displacement. Bill 46 aims to address the disparity by taxing empty homes, those left unoccupied by the people who live elsewhere most of the year. This is not about punishing anyone. It's about making housing accessible to the people who call Hawaii their permanent home, who contribute to our communities, and who keep Hawaii's culture and spirit alive. When opposition to this measure comes from individuals tuning from their homes in California or other mainland states, we need to ask, are their concerns about fairness really more important than the livelihood of local family members here in Hawaii? Should we prioritize the interests of absentee property owners over the needs of people who live, work, and raise their families here? The answer must be no. And I'm sorry, forgive me for going over time, but Councilmember Calvin Say, you work in our jurisdiction, in our district. We would love to have your support on this bill. We've done dossiers and research on all of you guys. Councilmember Andrea Topola, I've personally had to research you. I've seen on your Instagram you've had a conference, TED Talk, about pricing families being priced into paradise rather than priced out of paradise. I think this bill works perfectly for that. We are pricing our families into paradise, not out of paradise.
Okay, thank you. So thank you. Members, I did allow that, but members, if you could please direct your comments to the chair and not to direct certain council members. Thank you. Next, we have William Roll, followed by Susan Lay, followed by Jenny Kono. And if you wish to testify, please start lining up to my left, your right, on that side. Thank you very much.
Aloha, everyone. My name is William Roll. I am opposed to Bill 46 in its current form. A home does not need to be a residence in order to have significant community value. Many Kanaka and local families, including some of those in my family, will be punished if this bill passes in its current form. Some of their properties are used for traditional practices and house sacred sites like ahu made out of heiau stones and gardens for la'aulapa'au Hawaiian healing. My great-grandfather was a Levi'a on the windward side. His work saving Hawaiian fish ponds was recognized by the City and Council of Honolulu in the 90s. I follow in his footsteps. I'm a published marine biologist. I have discovered and named new Hawaiian species while working at UH Manoa. For this work, I make less money than an assistant manager at a McDonald's. I will not be able to perpetuate his legacy, the legacy of my family, or my stewardship of marine life if this bill passes in its current form. Our properties are used for teaching and conservation, but not living in. The proposed taxes for sites used for non-residential purposes would be more than my salary. This bill is so well intended, but should be modified to ensure no local people are inadvertently hurt. Please stay this bill and amend it to exclude Hawaiian residents from requiring to apply for exemptions. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Moving forward to Susan Lay, followed by Jenny Kono. And for those who wish to testify, once again, please line up here. And I have to announce, since it's past 2:30, that the Committee on Public Infrastructure and Technology will be starting at 3:30. Thank you. Susan, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Susan Le, Housing Policy Analyst for Hawaii Appleseed, and I'm here to show my support, or our organization's support for Bill 46, especially in the version of CD1. I wanted to address a couple things in this hearing so far. We heard from BFS that $7.5 million was the implementation cost for Vancouver, Canada. That is true for the startup cost, and I just wanted to clarify that every year on out for that admin cost, it was $2 million. And as well, people are concerned about how much is revenue and what we're gonna actually see in empty homes. And I just wanna state that Appleseed has done analysis, and although we can only rely on Census Bureau Census Bureau data for right now, we did take a very liberal or conservative approach with only considering 11,000 empty units, because they are definitely empty for more than 6 months of the year, and then only considering the revenue that would have a 50% capture rate, and it would still be $183 million annually. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Jenny Kono. Jenny Kono. Okay, now we have people who have not registered to testify. Please come on up. State your name for the record, and then your position on the bill, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Jaden Vargas, and I'm in support of Bill 46. I speak on behalf of all college students that are working endlessly in order to continue living here, and those that couldn't make it here themselves. I am a college student at UH Manoa. I am housed right next to campus, and although that comes with convenience, it forces me to work 35 plus hours per week to continue living there. It's been rough trying to balance work and school. I'm having to do school assignments during my lunch and even now before I came up to testify. And with that being said, it's been mentally taxing on me, and it has been weighing heavy on my academics. But in order to live here, I need to continue living. And with that being said, if I get sick, if I get injured, that leaves me with little options on how I can continue to stay here securely. With that said, I do support the bill because with this tax implemented, it will help alleviate some of the stress of worrying so much about having enough for rent, while eventually the bill will lower the overall housing market pricing, which can help me and other people like myself facing this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Seeing none, is there anyone else after? Oh, I see, okay. Please come on up.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Hannah Sombrano, a recent UH graduate and resident of Manoa. Thank you for this opportunity to testify in support of Bill 46. While I have the privilege today to stand here in front of you to voice my support for this bill, there are many locals and Native Hawaiians directly and disproportionately impacted by the housing crisis that don't have the same opportunity to come here today to voice their concerns. The clear reality is that there are so many people experiencing housing insecurity and houselessness in the midst of a housing crisis. With that being said, it requires a special kind of privilege to be able to leave a home vacant for so many months out of a year, to choose not to rent these homes out to people who so desperately need them, or to oppose a tax that would only help to increase the availability of housing at rates that locals can afford, and for increasing funding for more affordable housing. An empty homes tax serves as a very real solution to these issues that we face. As representatives for the people of Honolulu, you have an obligation to serve the general welfare, health, happiness, and safety of the people of Honolulu, not to the people who don't even live here.
Oh, thank you. Members, any questions? Okay. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Aloha, good afternoon. Chair Cordero, Vice Chair Weyer, and members of this committee and the council. Again, a really robust conversation. My name is Rebecca Soon. I stand here in support. I wanted to just touch on two things, but first, just a really big mahalo for all of the hard work that clearly went into all of these council drafts. Appreciate also willingness to move on some of the dedication. I know that that has been something that many members have felt uncomfortable with. Also, mahalo for preserving the original definition with respect to the principal residence. I think that's really critical. One thing I just sort of wanted to kako'o, if you will, some of the things that especially Chair Waters has said with respect to implementation. Obviously, it's really critical that this is something that can be implemented. I think you're hearing from multiple sides of the conversation around, will these exemptions create such big pukas that it cannot be implemented? And then also, do we have enough information to implement? I've been in these conversations here in this chamber on this topic for 6 years. At that time, I was a member of the administration. Just in closing, we have since seen 3 bills on this. We have seen multiple studies on this. We have seen other jurisdictions implement this. The department has the tools that it needs to get the conversation going at the policy level. We can move forward, and the administration can amend while it's implementing if needed. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none, moving forward. Natalie?
Thank you, Chair, Council members. Natalie Wassa for the record. I absolutely oppose this bill. It is pro-bureaucracy and anti-homeownership, especially for low to moderate income people. And I say that because we just heard from BFS director that if they miss the deadline, a new homeowner misses the deadline, they are subject to the vacant homes tax for the next full year. At the 3% you are currently considering, that's $15,000 on a $500,000 home or $30,000 on a $1 million home. There are so many reasons I oppose this. The exemption will hurt local people. You recognize that already by the number of exemptions you keep adding to the bill. Property taxes are low compared to the mainland because of the school system. If you want to fix that, you need to change the system so that schools are funded by real property taxes and not GET and income taxes. And my other concern about this is the landlords. They obviously have a stake in this, but if they miss a deadline, it's no skin off their backs. And you know why? Because they will increase the rent for people like me and other families who rent and cannot afford to buy a home. So there are so many things wrong with this. And I just also wanted to point out, if I may, Waters' amendment, it allows for an exemption for Honolulu-sourced income. So consider that that would allow people who live on the mainland full-time, if they remotely work here and have a job with some company here, that home would then be exempted. So that particular exemption goes against what you're trying to do. And the evidence that is required under this bill is so, I can't, it's just horrendous. And it's so easy these days to fake documents. I pity the BFS because trying to enforce this and make sure that it's equitable is going to be a nightmare. So thank you for allowing me to go over my time. I'm really very concerned about this. Please do not pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Next. Please state your name for the record.
Aloha kako, my name is Mahealani Ioannis, and I stand here in support of Bill 46. And so I pity the people of Hawaii living here right now, and I really want people to be able to live in homes that they deserve. You know, they live here, they work here, they raise their families here. The people are the heart of this land, so let's keep an eye out for them and give them aloha. Mahalo.
Next, please say your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Leonard Bruce. I'm a student at UH Manoa, and I grew up as an Army child. My dad was a Green Beret for over 12 years, and one of their mottos is to free the oppressed, de oppressa liber. And quite frankly, the people here are oppressed by the housing prices. So I just came up here to say it's 2:51, so let's wrap this up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify? Going once? Twice, 3 times. Closing in-person testimony. Members, we are now back in discussion. Yes. Okay, seeing none. Discussion. We do have a few, I do note that we have the 2 withdrawals for the CD1, 2, sorry, excuse me, hold on, let me recollect myself here and find my script. Okay, CD2s. I do note, does anyone have any comments on the proposed posted CD2s? Right now, Councilmember Says and Council Chair Waters hand-carried CD2, and Councilmember Dos Santos Tams hand-carried as well.
Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
Just a comment. Yeah, I do want to say the last conversation we had, I appreciated us debating whether or not it should be supplemental or its own category. I do think that with all of the exemptions, having its own category may be the right thing. I still have lots of reservations about the amount of it without knowing the cost and knowing the income, but I still think that that's probably better than a supplemental tax. And then, of course, legally, we'd be in jeopardy of possible double taxation if we stayed in the other models. So I also appreciate Councilmember Dos Santos Tam suggesting putting it in a fund that won't violate the charter. So I think all of the drafts had some portions of what could possibly be a better pass. So just want to thank everyone for the work because it's hard to read through it and of course make suggestions. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Councilmember Tupola. Any comments about the proposed posted and hand-carried CD2s? Okay. Council Chair Waters.
Thank you, Chair Cordero. I want to point out to members of this committee a memo that I received dated November 20th, 2024 from Department of Corporation Counsel, basically pointing out that there may be problems with the other drafts with regard to where the revenue will go. That's why in my draft, I did say we want to increase housing and it should go to the housing department. But I left it a little bit more flexible versus being exact. Now, they did not opine on Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's version of the bill, but I'm concerned based on the analysis that they would have a similar problem with that
Excuse
version.
me, Council Chair Waters.
Okay, hold on.
If you're going to share information from our memorandum, we suggest you do it in executive session.
I concur with that.
I see.
Okay.
Please refrain from referring to the memo or reading from it unless you're going to go into executive session.
Okay, thank you.
But you're free to describe the changes in your CD1. Just don't refer to the memo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no problem with executive session, Madam Chair. Keeping in mind the time, but
okay.
I'm here until
we have half an hour.
7 o'clock tonight.
Okay, we can recess and start the next committee too. There's that. Okay, so members, I'll poll everyone. Sorry. Everyone, can you all focus on me, please? I would like to ask and poll if we would like to go on executive session. First off, members, if you wish to go into executive session, okay, Councilor Chair Waters.
Well, I retract what I said earlier that I'd like to go into executive session. I don't think we need to, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on the posted or hand-carried CD2s? I have a question for Budget Director Kawano as it relates to the, I think, so there's Affordable Housing Fund as well as the Housing Development Fund. Are both, I didn't double check this, but are we able to do it into either of those funds as opposed to the general like housing department for allocation?
For the record, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. In general, I'm a strong believer that all uses of city revenues from the general fund should go through the budget process. That's how I feel. With respect to those specific funds, I have not seen research from CORE yet, Corporation Counsel. So I suggest that we run the information by them. But generally, I think the right thing to do is to go through the annual budget process.
So there's no, I was just asking if there's any limitations of allocating to those two specific funds.
Just to clarify, when you say allocations, Councilmember Cordero, do you mean automatic allocations annually?
I believe, yeah, because any, like, an X amount percentage of the collected tax was then,
anytime,
I'm just trying to figure out which one.
My strong belief is that anytime you do an automatic allocation of revenue dollars to a specific fund, you restrict the budget process. It makes it harder to balance the budget. So my recommendation would be, put everything in a general fund, go through the budget process, or if there's a strong urge to further analyze making an automatic allocation into a designated fund, run it by Corporation Council.
Thank you. Okay, Council Vice Chair Kiaina.
Chair, we are in discussion on the proposed amendments, correct? Okay, I out of all of the proposed amendments, I do support Chair Waters' amendments. I think his is the most exhaustive. We're trying to look at the exemptions. I concur with the 20% the allocation, which is kind of aligned with what I wanted, meaning 80% goes back to the general fund, and his is a broader in parameters, which I feel doesn't constrain us. So while I appreciate what the director said, I feel that it has the broadest language to be able to give the administration the flexibility to deal with affordable housing. So I will be voting in support of Chair Waters' amendment, but I will be opposing the underlying bill moving forward for these reasons. First, I do believe that the Ernst & Young study should be completed. And I actually think that because of all of the hard work that the chair has done, should his measure pass, that it would be better for the council members to be more fully informed about the impact of such exemptions on what we actually would raise. And the reason, of course, for us is that there are various ways to both increase revenues as well as increase the number of affordable housing units. And I would like to make the most sound decision, so the most effective and most appropriate measure to achieve that. I remain committed to doing both of those objectives, and I believe that modifying the residential aid categories is a step in the right direction to update it, perhaps have different tiers, because right now I believe it's unfair for those who, is only up to 1 million. I think it should be increased, but I believe that those who have higher value homes should be paying more, and that increases revenues for us. And we can do that immediately. And second, I still support tax relief that will incentivize homeowners who rent their homes for more than 12 months and thereby increase the affordable housing inventory. In summary, I feel that the interaction group on the permitted interaction group on RPT should be reconvened, because I feel that it is the better forum to be able to address all of these issues. And so I just want to share my thoughts on the chair's amendment and then underlying. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a little more simple-minded. I have to go with the amendments first. Okay, so one for Chair Waters. I guess should I do a poll? I don't know. Who's my council member? Who's my members? My members are
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair Weyer. Which?
Yeah, I'll just note I appreciate Chair Waters' amendments. I'd be supporting them. I do think it does simplify it by putting it into a separate classification, and I think that also gives us time in the future to look at how we're going to approach it in terms of what the rate is going to be. Appreciate BFS's position, and I know that they previously indicated the desire to provide data based on concrete ideas from the council. So I think essentially codifying this would allow us to present them with a bill or an ordinance that doesn't take effect until, I believe, 2027, to then have that be the specific point of evaluation. I'm sure the evaluators would bring back great data on, if these amendments should be, or exemptions should be adjusted, reduced, because I know BFS expressed a concern about opening the door too broad or allowing too many people to slip through. But overall, I think the testimony today speaks for itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, just in reference to the amendment we had mentioned earlier, the exemption we mentioned earlier, I don't know if it'd be the the committee be amenable to just adding maybe on Oahu after
On
principal
Oahu.
residence in subsection D, or we can flesh out more language.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for subsection D on CD2, okay, noted though. I'm gonna poll first to see if that's
Of course, understood.
the
Mahalo.
vehicle, but on Oahu in subsection D. Okay, all right. Councilmember Say?
Can I get a copy of that San Francisco court opinion?
Okay.
Or what the testifiers spoke
yeah,
about?
sure. I'm sure you can ask for that. As for the CD2, are you sticking with yours, or do you have a suggestion or request?
At this point in time, I felt that we have lost sight of what we're talking about. And when I say we have lost sight, it's not about taxation. It's about finding homes and units for our local kids. You've heard the pros and cons this afternoon, which is really, really lively, very well educated and articulated. But, I would support the draft at this point in time for further consideration, but may I get a copy of the court decision? That's number one.
I do not believe that the decision, the San Francisco,
Yes, San Francisco.
7, I don't think it came out.
I'll text it to him.
Okay.
November 1 it came out.
I think it was overturned, right?
On November 1, the judge ruled, but I can just give him the summary judgment.
Oh, the summary judgment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And finally, no, I think Chair has incorporated the amendments that I had proposed also in regards
he
to
did. Okay.
Mr. Kamikawa's amendment along with Mr. Kuroda's amendment also.
Oh, okay, perfect. Perfect. Good to know. All right, Councilmember Toba, for the different CD2s.
Thank you, Chair. I still have a lot of concerns with the tax, but I'll be okay with supporting Chair's CD2.
Okay, Chair CD2. Okay, that's 1, 2. Okay, 4. Okay, I guess then yes, that's where the consensus of the rest of my committee has gone with. And so with that, there is a verbal amendment for being to specify on subsection D on Oahu. The introducer of that hand-carried CD2 has agreed to it. Members, are there any opposition to that part? Okay. Okay. Seeing none. Okay. So that means then, from the original bill, what has changed is into its own tax class of, so it is not a supplemental or seemingly a double taxing, and with different increases in percentages. So, okay, with that, I'll let everyone talk to the, hold on, let me see here. Oh, I'll make the motion later. Oh, actually, I'll make the motion now. Thank you. The chair recommends that Bill 46, 2024 CED1 be amended to the hand-carried CD2 identified as OCS 2024-1029/11/21/2024 at 12:57 p.m. Any discussion? Any objections? Oh, wait, that's right. We have to talk about the fund, right? Oh. Sorry. Okay, so also for the fund, I do believe that there was a recommendation by Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, and so currently the broad language for where the funding or allocations can be spent on, it was noted that, I don't have the document in front of me, that the specific fund by ordinance, we can't place into that housing development fund. So I think we need to amend that first for Councilmember Dos Santos Tam to allow for that allowance. Okay, does everyone have that? Actually, can you get that? Can I call you up and ask you a question? No? Okay. All right, I would like to call up the Office of Consular Services to ask further clarification. I did want to double check because as we know that it was necessary to ensure that we provide funding from this to housing. We had different ideas of affordable housing fund as well as the housing development special fund. And where are you going? Okay, so I'm going to call up Sharon to ask the question about the permissible uses of the three special funds for the special funds for consideration for allocations to go into. I would like to ask our Office of Council Services, Ms. Sharon Brooks, about, once again, the permissible uses for special funds of putting the allocations into the Housing Development Special Fund, or even, the other funds,
Okay. As we understand it, subject to more research later, based on the research we have to date, it would be inappropriate to put any kind of proceeds from an empty homes tax in the Housing Development Special Fund, because pursuant to the establishing ordinance of that fund, certain deposits must be made from identified sources, and empty homes tax is not one of those sources.
Any questions?
That's with regard to that. And I believe you're asking about Affordable Housing Fund under the charter?
Yes.
Okay, and that is different from the other fund because it's established by the charter, and even though it has a designated amount that must be deposited every year from real property taxes, it is our research based on legislative history that the amount deposited that was mandated simply provided a floor and not a maximum. So it is our view that it doesn't limit the deposit from other sources.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? Councilmember DeSantis-Tam.
Thank you. It's not a question, but I will note that in Bill 58 of 2016, we provided the option for an IPDT developer to deposit $3 million of in lieu fees into the 646 fund, and no one seemed to mind then about the sources of funds. We were about to let a luxury developer put in a bunch of money with the idea that we'd support affordable housing. Nobody had a problem then, and all of a sudden, now, when we are trying to create more affordable housing, we're running into these roadblocks. My whole thing is I want to make sure that this money actually meaningfully creates affordable housing if we decide to go down this path. And I'm concerned that if we leave it open to just supporting any affordable housing initiatives, we already do that. We already do this, and so it's just going to sort of be a wash. I think there has to be some degree of specificity, so I would encourage the various legal minds that we have to help us find a way to do so.
Thank you.
Before final reading.
Okay, thank you. So members, I have to make my recommendation one full swoop. I do have to make further amendments as it relates to the word Oahu. One moment. Okay, so I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. Okay. The chair recommends that Bill 46, 2024, CD1 be amended to the hand-carried, would be amended to the hand-carried CD1 and would be further amended as discussed today with the D on Oahu after D, as well as to change a Honolulu source, substitute all references of a Honolulu source to an Oahu source. Oh, I said hand-carried CD1 earlier, excuse me. Hand-carried CD2. Hand-carried CD2. Okay, and that's OCS 2024-1029-11, /11/21/2024 at 12:57. Once again, it was the amendments, verbal amendments recommended by Committee Vice Chair Weyer with putting on Oahu by after D, as well as in addition to that, I will be substituting all references to a Honolulu source to an Oahu source. Okay, members, any discussion, any objections, any reservations? Hearing none, the bill is amended to the hand-carried CD2 as further amended. Members, moving forward, we are, wait, where's my recommendation? Okay, I don't know where it is, but the chair recommends that Bill 46, 2024, CD2, as amended, be reported out on passage for third reading. Discussion.
Chair.
Oh, you. Okay, Councilmember Toba.
Thank you. No vote for me, okay? I remain opposed to the measure for the following reasons. Number one, we already have a contract out for more information about how best to implement the tax. The contract is for $500,000 and would give us a better data on how many empty homes actually exist in our county and how to best to implement this tax. The money has already been set aside, and I think it's our first step on the path is to see this through. Number two, I have concerns about implementation. Other states, specifically California, are already going through hardships, and I don't want to put us in a position to face the same challenges. And three, I'm concerned that this is government overreach. And until we have more assurance that this is not a violation of the Constitution, I think we should tread lightly. So no vote, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Okay, questions. I'm sorry, discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. Thank you so much for all the discussion and for everyone who submitted. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of research. But yeah, I also remain concerned, especially about the constitutionality. I didn't know that this lawsuit was going to be judged on. And so I did read through it kind of about the taking clause, which was brought up by NAB, which I didn't understand until I read the court case. Also, just some of the issues that we might face with our ability to really protect property rights for people who are local, because I think that's what we're all saying. We're kind of saying the same thing, but we're all trying to get there a different way. I still remain concerned that there are a lot of local families that wouldn't fall in those exemptions. I did read the court case about residential A. I didn't even know there was a court case until someone showed it to me. And so I think residential A would be maybe an unchallenged category so that we could use it and not have to go to court, but expand it, kind of what the Board of Realtors were saying. So at the end of the day, we all want local families to stay here. I remain concerned about this vehicle, but again, as I stated earlier, would rather the categorization than the double taxation, but still opposed to us moving without really knowing all the data from the Ernst & Young, knowing that our numbers might be different than what was in the census data, which was shared by Appleseed. I appreciate their research, but I think knowing like what's hitting the ground right now in Honolulu with the numbers would really be helpful for us to know. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, okay, hold on. Oh, Councilmember Say, followed by Committee Vice Chair. Okay. Okay, get time then. Okay, Committee Vice Chair Weyer, followed by Council Vice Chair Kia-Aina. Councilmember Say, you have time.
Okay. Yeah, and I know I kind of added to the discussion already, so I don't have too much to add, but I just wanted to know, I appreciate the conversation about the legality. You know, just for the record and to the extent the legislative intent is relevant, you know, I think when we're looking at residential, residential A, residential E, right, that's really what this is, right? We have different classifications. We already provide a homeowner occupant exemption. So if you live in the home you own, you pay a lower rate than everybody else. Under this new residential E in comparison to residential A in comparison to residential homeowner occupants, we would see that if you're renting out your property, similar to homeowner occupants paying less, folks renting out their property would pay less than those not renting out. And so I do think that there's, you know, I think it makes sense in the context of our broader framework, right? It's not saying people can't have an empty home, right? That's their constitutional right. It says if you rent it out, you're going to pay a little bit less in taxes. And if you live in the one that you own, you're going to pay a little bit less in taxes as well. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to me. And obviously our hope is that more homes can be used to actually house people given the housing crisis that we're in. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Council Vice Chair Kia-Aina.
Sorry, as I just wanted to reiterate what I had discussed earlier during the consideration of Chair Waters' amendment, which I support because a lot of good work has gone into it. I will be opposing the underlying measure moving forward because I would like to see not just the study, but the potential impact of the exemptions outlined in Chair Waters' amendments should it move forward, because it will have a bearing on whether or not it actually achieves the objectives we're trying to achieve, and that's all. And I ask that should the measure prevail on the votes today, that we hold it. We hold it in committee, because all it needs is one more passage by the House until that time is done, and that's the ending of January. That's so anyway. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Hold on. Can I speak as a committee chair, and then I'll let you go ahead. First off, thank you everyone for this discussion. I really appreciated. Normally our bills don't go through 4 committee hearings, but in a normal process. But we've been able to have a really great discussion. I think that. Of course, pushing out the date to 2027, along with knowing that we have the contract with Ernst & Young, I believe that if we were to at least formulate this into ordinance by passage of this bill, we would be able to consecutively, at the same time, start up not only the program, but thinking of the questions that need to be asked at the same time, working with Ernst & Young. Because if we wait, we would have to wait for them to pass the ordinance, wait to then stand up rulemaking, wait to then stand up the whole program. And while we do have that whole 18-month time frame to do so, I do think that it is possible for us to even bring up this bill, that different sections of the ordinance up again. It's not like one and done, and we're gonna close our eyes and not even think about it later. This is an opportunity to start setting it up, find out everything, but for us to not waste time and waiting on that. And I gotta be honest, I've been here more than for a pretty long time already to see that process can also be a delaying tactic, but also a way to just, things happen, we are reactive, and so it takes long. So I think being able to consecutively do it, I think it shows that as a co-introducer that we want to be workable with Ernst & Young and the study of implementation and how we can work towards that by pushing it out to 2027. So that's my point. Okay, so Councilor Chair Waters.
No, thank you. I think you've made exactly my point. I'd like to point out that the Office of Sustainability, which is a city department, came out with the Oahu Resiliency Strategy in 2019. And they talked about housing. And the #1 strategy identified was an empty home, filling these empty homes. In August 13th, 2021, we hired the UCLA School of Public Affairs to do a study on analyzing the prospect of taxing empty homes. And they recommend an empty homes tax. That's 2021. Going back from 2019, while I'm sympathetic with what the Director Kawano said, unless we pass this bill and light the fire to actually do it, because, like I said, 2019, 2021, they still haven't done it. They haven't done it. So again, that's why would like support for the bill. We have the lowest property tax rate in the country, for the state, lowest. Out of the 3,244 counties in the United States, we are 3,019 lowest. Low property taxes reduce carrying costs for property owners, which can encourage speculators to buy properties not for personal use or rental income, but for capital gains, resulting in more properties held as vacant investments rather than being used for long-term housing, driving up local property prices and reducing availability of homes for local residents. Very low property taxes distort housing markets, leading to an increased demand for rental properties and lower home ownership rates. Hawaii's extremely low real property tax rate increases the cost of housing and reduces the availability of rental units. Lastly, my amendments do address the San Francisco case, and we took great pains to do exactly that, and I simply ask for a roll call vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will call for a roll call vote. We have Committee Vice Chair Weyer.
Aye.
Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
No.
Okay, Councilmember Say. Okay, with Councilmember Tolba.
No.
Okay, the chair votes aye, so that's 3 votes in the affirmative. Okay, with that, Bill 46, 2024, CD2 is reported out for adoption. Moving forward, Bill 59, 2023, CD1, providing incentives for eligible film studio facilities. Members, we have. Okay, excuse me. We have a proposed posted CD2, which is OCS 2024-10/11/18/2024 at 11:58 a.m. submitted by Council Chair Waters. Wait. Yeah. Okay, wait. Okay, that we posted on the agenda addendum. So it's posted on the agenda addendum. You saw them, yeah? Okay, for your information, the amendments are listed on the agenda addendum, okay? All right. I do want to allow for Council Chair Waters for further explanation of the amendments.
The amendments, I believe, are posted, but I just want to point out that we worked with various stakeholders to try to get their buy-in, and hopefully it's reflected in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, members, we have with us from the City Administration, we have both Director Kawano, followed by of the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services, as well as Weyer Constantino from the Senior Film Industry Development Specialist with the Office of Economic Revitalization.
For the record, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. The administration supports Bill 59 in the posted form. And, we look forward to providing assistance in whatever form needed to implement it. With that, I'd like to call up Weyer Constantino to share the Honolulu Film Office's perspective.
Thank you, Director, and thank you to all the council members. I know this has been a long discussion with a lot of members very involved. There's also been a lot of involvement by the production community. So, and I want to particularly thank Chair Waters for helping us to coalesce, and his staff, all of the thoughts and the input from everyone. So that particular CD version, I think, has the most amount of information that can move this bill forward quite successfully. It does limit the footprint to something rather narrow that is specific to the actual film production site, which I know was an earlier concern, so it absolutely addresses any issue of abuse or overexpansion of that. And it also takes into account concerns about workforce and labor. I think there is one small section with regard to a definition on local workforce. And I believe Councilmember Weyers has some text on that to define it and just make it consistent with how the state defines it. So our incentive program does not run cross to what the Hawaii Production Tax Credit does. So with that, obviously we're in full support. And again, thank you to everyone for just an amazing collective effort to help move the film industry forward.
Thank you. And you said support of the proposed posted CD2?
Proposed CD2 that you mentioned, I think it's 10, 10, 11, 18. I'm trying to remember all the numbers, that one.
Okay, got it. So, I was going to ask him. Never mind. Okay, never mind. So, Valea, I was going to ask you. So you said about the further amendments, and you said Council Committee Vice Chair Weyer was going to see.
Yes, we were just conferring on that, the specific wording.
Okay.
There's one minor bit of wording to further define what local workforce is, and it just makes it consistent with the state definition.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. Then members, in addition to the proposed posted CD2, are we okay with verbally amending to that, to the local workforce definition? I would like to hand it over to Committee Vice Chair Weyer to further expound.
Yeah, so I can just read it out before folks give their opinion, and it would be adding workers who have been determined to be residents as defined by state DOTAX TIR 97-1, adding that to the definition of local workforce.
Got it.
And I think
97-1, okay, got it.
Yeah, and the main purpose of that is just to ensure that there's conformity between what we're doing at the city and what the state is doing.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, members, are there any questions about that further verbal amendment? Seeing that, okay, cool. All right, members, are there any further discussion on? Okay, yes, sorry.
Or on the amendments.
On the amendments.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion on the amendments? Okay, seeing none. Okay, any other questions for the administration? Okay, yes.
I just want to say mahalo to Walea and her whole team, and Councilmember Tolba for your work on this measure, and Councilmember Waters again, and your staff as was mentioned. I think this does have an opportunity. I think we still got to take testimony, but just excited for the opportunity that this provides for our community, particularly our youth who want to get involved in this industry, and also just the potential for jobs and creativity, and providing a future for the film industry and content creation. So mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Guys, I'm a minute to 3:30, so I have to make an announcement that the Committee on Public and Infrastructure and Technology will start 3:45. Okay, 5 minutes after the end of the Committee on Budget. Can I say that? 5 minutes after the end of the Committee on Budget. That's a... Whew. Okay, all right. Now we will move on to remote testimony. We don't have any registered remote testifiers, but is there anyone online who wishes to testify? Oh, I apologize. I have one. I have it here. Okay, we do have registered remote testifiers online, but if you are in person, please just let me know. So, Tuya Ana Scanlon, are you in person or online?
Chair, testifier is not logged on.
Not logged on. Okay. All right. We have Mauricia Elmore. Palma Elmore, you're in person? Okay, got it. Irish Barber, in person. Rhonda Ching Day. I know that person testified earlier, so Mark Petritz. Okay. Mark Porterfield. Mark, please proceed.
Here. Yep. Hello. I'm Mark Porterfield, a producer and also transpo here in Hawaii. I testified before that I'm supporting this. I'm actually talking to you from the set where you can see from Moana, and we employ 80% of our crew is from local Hawaii. So also you can see the numbers that in my testimony. Rescue High Surf generated $40 million in ancillary revenue for the communities surrounding. So we do need the soundstage to be viable with all the other cities. We're losing projects like Moana that's only shooting here for 9 days to cities like Atlanta. If we would have more sound stages, we build more volume stages. That's the trend people are going with. We have The Rock and Jason Momoa actually is asking Amazon and studios to cut their rates to stay here in Hawaii, and they're not able to do that because we don't have the infrastructure in place. And if we could build upon what we have, we can teach local communities at UH and whatnot, and build up our crew infrastructure. So I really support this bill to help generate revenue for our state.
Thank you. Next, we have Georgia Skinner. Georgia?
Testifier is not responding.
Okay. I'll leave remote testimony open because I know I saw her. I see her on. So I'll go to in-person testifiers. For in-person testifiers, we have Mark Anthony Clemente, followed by Chris Lee, followed by Melvin Marr.
Chair, Vice Chair, Mark Anthony Clemente on behalf of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. I stand by my testimony. Just want to mahalo Vice Chair Weyer and Council Chair Waters for their language around prevailing wage. Good for our local skilled craftspeople. Mahalo.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. Next we have Chris Lee, followed by Melvin Marr, followed by Ricardo Galindez.
Mahalo, Chair. And I just want to, I'll stand on it. My name is Chris Lee. I'm the founder and director of the Academy for Creative Media at the University of Hawaii. I am testifying both in a personal capacity, but also the University of Hawaii. There's testimony from Calbert Young, and I'm submitting testimony on his behalf. I just want to say thank you. This has been a very long journey. I know a lot of people in this room worked very hard to get us this far, and I hope we get over the finish line because all of us who believe in the diversification of our economy and having people here that can afford to buy homes is so vital to the future of our state. So just mahalo everybody, and appreciate this opportunity to be here with you again today.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Melvin Marr, followed by Ricardo Galindez.
Hi, I'm Melvin Marr. Thanks for taking the time. I'm a TV and film producer. I made both Jumanji movies here, and recently read one, which is in theaters, go see it, and 2 seasons of a TV show called Dugi Kamialoa. And I did a written testimony, but I'm in support of this bill, so I won't take up your time, but I'll just say, you know, the first Jumanji started majority here, and we had to go to Atlanta for sound stages. And the second Jumanji was different because we started in Atlanta, and we only came here for a week. But if we had the infrastructure, you had the sound stages, we could stay. We wanted to stay, you know? And I hope this works out. It'd be really great. I love this place. I can't wait to send more shows and movies here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next we have Ricardo Galindez, followed by Tuya Ana Scanlon, followed by Mauricia Palma Elmore.
Good afternoon. My name is Ricardo Galindez, co-founder of Island Film Group. We're the largest local film and TV production company. We're based here on Oahu. We've been doing this for about 15 years. We are also the developer chosen by a university to develop the UH West Oahu studios. Building studios is a challenge anywhere, but particularly in Hawaii. And across the world, they're rarely done without the support, local and state support. So we appreciate the council's support. And we, as everyone has said prior, that building sound stages are going to not only attract productions, but keep the productions here longer that are already coming. So it's again, a challenging prospect, but we are excited to get moving on this and appreciate the council's support. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you have a question. I'm sorry, Mr. Galindez, Councilmember Say has a question for you.
Yeah. So you are going to be the developer?
Yes.
Wow, even though we didn't pass the bill yet?
Excuse me?
We didn't even pass the bill on the real property tax exemption.
No, I'm sorry, I don't know what the question is.
The question is, are you the developer for this West Oahu film studio?
We have been chosen by the university and we are in negotiations to develop
Chair,
it.
I didn't even know about it.
Excuse me?
I didn't even know about the concept.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was in the news. It was in January.
Okay, my next question is this. Will you be open to allowing foreign film companies to be a part of your group from Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, etc., just like the International Film Festival?
Being part of the development group?
Yes.
We'd be open to discussing it.
I think maybe, Chris? No, this is very important because I want Hawaii to be global on the market in the film industry, not just U.S. productions. So I'm just disappointed that the President didn't even contact the City Council in regards to this particular measure, that you folks have already selected a developer for the West Oahu campus of the film studio.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a question?
No, when it comes up for final reading.
Oh, okay, all right. Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but you can stand there. Just for clarification, when we first discussed this bill, the RFP for UH was already out. So just clarifying that UH was going to do it, whether or not they got a tax exemption, it was just nice if they did, but they were already in that motion. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next. Well, actually, before I move forward, I do see Georgia online, so I could close remote testimony. I would like to go to Georgia Skinner. Is that okay?
Thank you so much, Chair, members of the committee. We really support this bill on behalf of our director, James Tokioka, and our entire team here at the State Creative Industries Division in our State of Hawaii Film Office. This is a critical measure to be able to elevate our production destination and make it a global destination in the Pacific. I think that you have before you a wonderful group of people in person that are from the industry that know how important this move is. And I especially like a lot of the elements in this new CD1 that do speak to the specifics of local hires during construction and all of those elements so that we have our own residents working to build something lasting for the future here in the state. So thank you so much and available for questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Skinner. If there's no one else online, I will be closing remote testimony. All right. So let's see here. Oh, wait, I do see, well, actually, I'm not going to close remote testimony. I'll just leave it open. Okay, so next we have, who do we have? Tuia Ana Scanlon, as well as Mauricia Palma Elmore, followed by Irish Barber.
Tui had to leave.
Oh, yes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mauricia Palma Elmore, and I'm the Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA. That's the Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. In the interest of time, I want to stand on my testimony and again, just express gratitude for keeping this going. I think Chris Lee said this has been a long journey. It really has. Thank you, Chair Waters, for the CD2 and your robust amendments that really helped to clarify and cement local hires being paid their prevailing wages. Thank you for that. Thank you to Councilmember Augie Tolbo for always believing in us and pushing through this bill. So thank you. And I'd like to invite, I've got members here who can probably speak better to the actors' experience and why this is so important for us. Mahalo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next we have Irish Barber, followed by Mark. Okay, I don't know who else. Okay, Irish.
Okay, mahalo. And aloha kako, Irish Barber with IATSE Local 665. We represent the men and women who work behind camera. Wanted to thank Council Chair Waters for the CD2 and keeping this bill alive. Mahalo to all the council members, in particular Councilmember Tolba for introducing this landmark measure, and the collaboration with Councilmember Weyer, who drafted the PLA and imported the labor language Budget Chair Cordero for keeping it as a priority on your committee, and to Council Members Dos Santos Tam, Kia Aina, Okimoto Se, and Tupola for your continued support of the film industry. Without these facilities, our workers will go elsewhere. So this is very important, and just wanted to say mahalo from all of us film workers in the industry.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. Is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? Angela, just go first. And then we'll go with everyone else.
She's like gonna beat me to it. Okay, Angela Melody Young testifying on behalf of CARES. And actually, I used to work for the Oscars producer, Don Misher. Yeah, got to work on the red carpet.
Angela, just do your testimony,
okay,
please.
Yes. Just giving my credentials in the industry. So DBED has labeled the filmmaker industry as an emerging industry transforming Hawaii's economic development, along with creative media, which is also an emerging industry which is inclusive of music, design, and arts to encourage student artists as well as professional filmmakers and musicians. When Ways and Means went over the financing priorities for the state funding, the legislator discussed higher education plans for University of Hawaii students, and they concurred that building facilities and studios to incubate these talents and passions of the students of Hawaii is very important. So I do agree that this city proposal is also very important, right? And so the new edits are good. The studio must go by the DPP facilities design plan. And also for consideration, you can legislate the parameters for general contractors and the teams.
Thank you, Angela.
Into the policy.
Thank you, Angela. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify? Please line up here. Next. Thank you. Please say your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Henry Ian Cusick. I am the SAG-AFTRA National Board Member. I'm an actor. I'm also a Hawaii resident. Anything that attracts and keeps production here in Hawaii for the Hawaii film industry is a good thing. So thank you very much for this. I support Bill 59.
Thank you very much. Okay, next. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, aloha mai kākou. My name is Ioane Kaho'opono Goodhue. I am here from Oahu. My mother is a historian from Hawaii. My father, a fisherman from Molokai. Aue, I am a SAG-AFTRA actor on Oahu. That's what I do. So I've been lucky enough to be working the business, to be a working actor for the past few years. And in my experience, I've kind of reached the limits of what a region like Hawaii can offer someone like me. And so this past year, I had to leave our home to go work. And I don't get off the rock very often. And so it was a really cool experience. But I learned a lot of things in other regions. And I think infrastructure is one of the key things that they have that we don't. I also work as the director for a program called ICANN, International Coalition, a Cultural Arts Network, sorry. We focus on workforce development for actors so that we can compete with these talents that are coming in internationally. So we have a great deal of representation locally for folks behind the camera, but I'm really trying to occupy more roles in front of the camera, hyping jobs for our skilled, talented people. So mahalo. I'm in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, I don't see any other, is there anyone else in person who wishes to testify? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone online who wishes to testify? Please press *6 to indicate your desire to speak. Okay, seeing none. Members, we will now close out testimony. Members, we are back in discussion. You can talk about the CD, you can talk about the whole bill, but yep.
Mahalo, Chair. We've been working on this bill since we first got into office, when I first got into office, so I'm truly appreciative of how far we've come. I just wanted to say thank you to the council, the administration, and all the stakeholders for their hard work and feedback to get this bill to where it's at right now. The economic incentive has the potential to provide good paying quality jobs for local people. This is a win-win for the city and will gain valuable tax revenue from the increased taxable value of the land when the studio is built. I believe we are moving in the right direction in helping our communities and diversifying our economy. So thank you again. Aloha.
Hello. Members, any other discussion? Any discussion? Councilmember Say.
Well, I am in strong support, but I was very disappointed that the state of Hawaii did not support the city council and the city administration in regards to the general excise tax exemption. that was part of the draft that was 3 years ago. The concern is that we wanted to give you folks an opportunity to get a better financial plan for your development. The general excise tax is the tax that you folks pay to the state. You folks, we're not going to charge on your real property tax, but that's the incentive that you folks are having. All I'm saying, to make it much more juicier, I'm telling the state, help the developer, that you don't have to pay the general excise tax on your construction. We've done it for the military. We've done it for military housing. That's why I was upset about. It seems like, Chair, we just give in to the state. Who's going to benefit? The state, not Oahu County. Why? Who gets the income tax? The state. Who gets the general excise tax? The state. What do we get? An exemption for you folks for the years of the construction of the lease agreement with the University of Hawaii. That's why I got upset. What is fair in making it much more juicier for you folks, Mr. Galindez?
Councilmember.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just bring this up because I'm very disappointed that the state could not meet us halfway. When we give them a real property tax exemption, the future council member is going to realize what the obligation is. And that's the concern I have too.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Say. Councilmember Tupola?
Yeah, just in support, I would say that in this time prior to this particular bill, really the only people giving the incentive was the state. I mean, the tax credit that they give is not as robust as other states, but the state of Hawaii Department of Film had been doing that, asked us as a city to kind of help out, which this is a small help with the property tax exempt benefit, but I still think that it'll benefit everyone, especially because UH West Oahu is near the start of the rail line. And when we did meet with the UH West Oahu administration, we specifically asked how this could help our ridership, which is a city thing that we need help with. So I think there is benefit all around. And I think overall, this is something that's going to be good. We always talk about diversifying the economy. This is a clear way that we can actually bring in types of jobs that might be at that level that people can work and live here in Hawaii. So in support. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to, congratulate all that have been involved, the film office, all of the stakeholders, as well as Councilmember Toba, Councilmember Weyer, Chair Waters, as well as yourself, Chair Cordero. I'm a little concerned that Councilmember Say will be retiring because I have a funny feeling that he's going to have a litany of issues that he has to beef with regard to the state legislature, and he's going to have a lot of time on his hands. So I think that this is just one of many salvos that he's going to use and go and pound the pavement, and they're going to be opening in January. So I feel his pain. I think that we've collectively agreed that we needed to bifurcate the issues to not impede the forward movement progress of this so that we could cocoa what we want and we can still hold the state accountable. And what my colleague is just trying to say is he needs help from all the industry as well as the film office to also hold, but it could also be done separately. So I still have confidence that we can hold them accountable. Anyway, thank you guys and congratulate to all of you.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other discussion? All right, I would now like to make the recommendation. Okay, so the chair recommends that Bill 59, this 2023 CD1 be amended to the posted CD2 identified as OCS 2024-1010 and be further amended to incorporate the additional amendments discussed today. So thank you very much, Committee Vice Chair Weyer. Yes, any discussion? Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving forward, the chair then recommends that Bill 59, 2023, CD2 be reported out for passage on third reading. Any discussion? Well, any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. With that, there being no further business, I do want to thank the PIT committee chair for letting me go way over time. So the Committee on Public Infrastructure and Technology will be starting at now. Thank you.